out by thanking, first of all, for you guys for your presence here this evening. It's a pleasant problem to have when you're concerned about if you're going to have enough chairs or not. But we want to thank you for your presence here this evening, advisors, members, principal volunteers, museum sponsors, donors, and exhibitors, and the friends of the museum and leaders of the community institutions. We want to thank you for your work at the Evansville Museum, the directors, vice chairs, special volunteers, and weekend volunteers. A special appreciation to the Evansville Airport Authority, Board of Directors, and Airport Administration, Fire and Safety Department, and Maintenance, and Nate Hahn, the Executive Director of the Museum. Thanks for being here this evening with us, Nate. And then a special recognition. I'd like to have any veterans that we have that are in the crowd and their spouses or family members, if you'd please stand and be recognized, please. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your dedication to our country and the lifestyle that we have lived. Were any of those veterans, by chance, a real fluke, if it's going to be true, but are any of them World War II veterans, other than Alan Sanders? Because he would. Thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. So the program is pretty simple tonight in our agenda. I've just given you the welcome. We're going to talk about our connections through education, history, and tourism. And then we're going to celebrate what we've done in 2018 with a lot of the progress that we've made. And Steve will basically go over that and also do a little show and tell about what's coming up for 2019. And then Richard and I will talk about some things that deal with our long-range plan or our look ahead as far as the way we look and the business and the vision that we have going forward. The other person that we need to make sure and acknowledge tonight is Ken Grant. Where's Ken? Okay, he's already standing. So he's the curator and registrar, and he doesn't know that we had this picture in our presentation, but there he is with a glass of Murphy's. And you were where, in Cork? When that picture was taken? Okay. That's not something we truly offer as a part of the museum, but someday maybe. We connect with our region through many communities, if we call them communities or markets. Education, history, and tourism, those are three real things that we believe in real strongly. We're going to talk about education from the standpoint inner museum and outer. We're going to talk about history with respect to exhibits, tabletops, programs, and things like that we have to offer. And then tourism from an event and service and engagement. We not only have become, people are coming here from out of state to see what we've got going on. But not only that, they're inviting us to go to them and tell them what we're doing. So we've been down in Kentucky, and we're going to Illinois real soon to a historical and genealogical society to talk to them just about what we do in the museum and what happened in Evansville, not just during the war, but in other conflicts also. We support our educators a lot. National History Day is something that we truly believe in and are active in that. We have classroom programs. Donna Bone, Mark Browning, Alan Sanderson, they go out to 8 different schools inside the Evansville School Corporation and have talked to over 2,000 students. And in addition to then, they go to Mount Vernon, and they go to Castle, and they go to Mater Dei, and they go to Memorial. And that's just when we're stretching out to those educational institutions. We also have a real strong link with U of E and USI and Ivy Tech. But then we even have had students' field trips come here and turn the museum into their classroom. So it's really, I think it's something that the people deserve, and we love being able to support that. One of the other programs that we're going to do more with, that we realize that our first responders that are out there are basically at war every day when they go to work, and we want to do something in that. And I want to thank Fire Chief Mike Conley and Angie, his wife, for being here this evening. So thanks for what you do, Mike, and we're gonna work on that and see what we can do to highlight that as something that we really appreciate that we have capability of doing. And the last community that I would like to talk about is all of the veterans associations that we've become affiliated with. Several people are here from several of those different institutions: Point Man Ministries, Reserve Officers Association, Tri-State Military Resource Network, the Service to Armed Forces, part of the Red Cross, the Tri-State Women Veterans, Honor Flight, Wounded Warrior Project, and the Marine Corps, to name a few. So we're really proud of our associate with them, and we build on each one of those as a group. When we market that group, they bring programs to us, and we take programs to them. So then the real meat of the talk tonight is going to be by Steve. Steve Witte is the principal designer of just about everything that you see here. I don't mean he designed that plane, but he decided the way things look. He makes them interesting. He comes up with these awesome programs. You're gonna have the luxury of seeing a lot of those that we did in 2018, and he's going to show you where we're going in 2019. Steve?
Thanks, Jeff. I'm going to try to just talk to you all without our electronic friend there. Hopefully that's going to work out. That's going to work out well. I also get to advance my own slides, which I like to do. I was up north. I was in Minneapolis giving a talk, and I guess they think everybody south of Chicago is from the deep south. And one of the operators there said, "I can advance your slide for you." And I said, "Well, how will you know when to go to the next slide?" She said, "Well, when you pause." And I said, "I'm from the South. I pause a lot." So I've got control here. We'll see what happens. Now, I want to tell you why we chose celebration. We're not trying to pat ourselves on the back. What we're thinking about is we want to express, to show that we're celebrating all of the support that this community, this region has given to our museum in 2018 and in our formative time in 2017. That's why we chose celebration. Well, truth be told, maybe we're patting ourselves on the back a little bit, but what this is really about is how the community has made use of this facility. We've opened it up, and outside groups have come in to use the main hall here, and that's where we're going to begin. You might be able to see there's faint outlines here of a couple of airplanes. When this building was put up in the 80s, it was put up by Meade Johnson, and they parked their corporate aircraft in here. The legacy for us is this large uninterrupted space, a 30-foot high ceiling, and the ability to have a Higgins boat, a deuce and a half, a biplane, a radial engine, and a bunch of vehicles in here. This works out very well for our purposes. You'll also note out in the middle is a large open area. Well, you can put many more tables and chairs out there. And we're going to show you how some of those events have come together. This is some imagery from Bucyrus Erie. They held their retirees meeting here. They have these meetings every so often. So the screen was at the other end of the main hall at that time. We've also had smaller meetings here. The Tri-State Military Network met here with 20 or 30 people, a U-shaped situation right about where you all are sitting now. The Philanthropic Education Organization meeting was held here. This was a very nice meeting. I wanted to tell you what PEO is. I wrote it down. Focuses on providing educational opportunities for female students worldwide. And they had a tour of the facility. They had a very nice luncheon. Had a very nice meeting here that day. The Meade Johnson retirees met here. The North High School choir came to sing. I believe Mission Barbecue catered that day for them. And that's kind of how it works. We've got the tables and the chairs. As you can see, we've got this fine projector, PA system, things of that nature. The organizations that come here for the events have their choice of caterers. Red Fez has been here. MD Deli does a lot here. And Mission Barbecue is a favorite. As Jeff mentioned, reserve officers, they had their dinner here. And there was a program conducted by Dr. McLeod from University of Evansville. The Reserve Officers Organization, I wrote this down so I get it all right. A professional association of commissioned officers, non-commissioned former officers, and spouses of uniformed services of the United States, primarily the Reserve and the National Guard. They had a good crowd here that evening, and I think they enjoyed themselves. Southern Indiana Red Cross, that was an appreciation dinner to show appreciation from the community to all of these Red Cross volunteers responding locally, nationally, and internationally to their missions. There was a history talk that night, and whenever these groups come in, we make sure we have all of the galleries open for self-guided tours, for them to have a look around, and we're here to answer their questions. There's a little thing that popped up here and I had to get rid of it. The Scottish Rite had their holiday dinner here. It was in early December, around the time we had the first accumulating snow. It was a beautiful evening inside. That's R. Mark Browning giving a talk that evening about Evansville in World War II. And that was the night Red Fez was here and had a beautiful buffet. In addition to making this facility available to groups in the community, we of course have a lot of our own events here. Let's talk about a few of those. This was our first anniversary. This is Veterans Day weekend, May of last year. So we had 4 days of activities. That Angels of Evansville display that you see there, that was a project that was completed for National History Day in Indiana. That was done by the students, pair students at Early College High School over at Ivy Tech. As part of our anniversary week, we received a number of projects from those students. They were kind enough to donate them to the museum. We inducted them into our permanent collection. We had a ceremony here to open our anniversary week. That's their teacher, the second from the right over there, Meryl Punky, who's seated right back there. Now, Meryl didn't know I was going to mention this, but it's worth noting that Meryl Punky received the 2018 Caleb Mills Indiana History Teacher of the Year Award. One of the perks of getting to do what I do is having a chance to go over to Ivy Tech and work with the early college high school students. They are energetic, they are engaged, they are enthused. Meryl and I were just talking before we got started here. There's a new crop of wonderful projects that are going to come to the museum this May, and I've had a chance to talk with some of these students. So that night, that'll be the first event of the week. We have the students, parents, and friends in, and probably if any of you wanted to come to that event, we wouldn't close the doors on you. I'll talk a little bit more about Anniversary Week when we talk about 2019, because we've got a big slate of events this year too. Now, 2018 was our first year to participate in the Member Wonder. This is a program among all the cultural institutions, Vanderbilt County, a little north and a little south. So what it means is if you're a member, Evansville Wartime, for this weekend, which was in September of last year, for this weekend, your membership at Evansville Wartime gets you into all of these other cultural institutions, whether it's African American, the Wrights Home, SEMO, Angel Mounds, Evansville Museum. So it's a great weekend for all of us to enjoy what each other's doing. The Hangar Bash is one of our annual fundraisers. Last year, it very nearly sold out. I think we had about 120 or 130 here for that evening. And it's, what can I tell you? It's a party. There's dinner. The Old Dam Band played. Ohio Valley Homebrewers were here. And everybody had a great time. It's really a wonderful evening. And it raises money so that we can do things like this, so that we can mount new exhibits, so that we can continue to serve the community. And I think it's worth noting too, and Jeff may have mentioned it, we have a lot of sponsors in the community that help us, whether it's the trades and the unions, whether it's corporate sponsors. A lot of friends and benefactors sponsor this event, sponsor our Shriners Fest event, and again, help us do everything we need to do here. This was interesting. Karen Kulinski wrote a book about the Purple Heart, but she wrote it for an audience of children. She traces it all the way back to George Washington and his armies, and brings it forward to the present day. It's beautifully illustrated. We had Karen and the illustrator in for a pair of talks. They had books here. She did a book signing. It was very well received. Last year, we did a number of things off-site. We've got all of the events that we do here, the inner museum. Now we're going to talk about the outer museum, the things that we take out into the community. And what we took a moment to do was map out our service area, our region that we primarily focus on. So we're south to Madisonville, north, a little north of Vincennes, so we include Jasper, over to Fairfield, and of course there's Owensboro, and I think I may have mentioned Madisonville, a lot of history down there. So this is what we look at as our service area. So if you've ever been to the Legacy Room at Old National Bank, you know what a beautiful view you have of the river. The Shriners Fest event down there, of course, is the air show. There's events on the water. All of that takes place from this panoramic view. We have the room for the day on Saturday for the air show. This is kind of one of our marquee events. It sold out last year, and we'll be doing that again this year. I believe June 22nd is the date. And somewhere around here, we've got a lot of the information that I'm going to be talking about later as far as dates and times and places are on the sheets up here. You're welcome to grab them. Also, if you want to follow us on Facebook, that's where the information, a lot of information about what's happening lines up there. And I know, let me put in a pitch here. I know a lot of you have big social media following. So, you know, if you want to follow the museum, if you want to like some of our posts and share them with your network, that would be fantastic. We have about 1,000 followers that are dedicated. We got these organically, we didn't buy them. So we're really happy with that. But at the same time, the bigger our audience, the more interesting what we do becomes. Let's see, how did we get there? All right, that's how we got there. This is an example of tabletop displays. This is something else that our group, the design and exhibit group, gets to do that is a lot of fun. There are a number of opportunities where we're able to create an exhibit for an afternoon and take it into an audience, into another facility, and be able to talk history, to be able to hear from people and hear their stories. This, Jeff took to the dedication of the Clara Barton cabin, which was a Red Cross undertaking, up at Spring Mill State Park. I like to give Jeff a hard time. I put all this together. I took a photograph of it. I packed it all up. I gave him the drawing. I gave him step-by-step instructions. But he never showed me what it looked like at the other end. So I guess he got it okay. This was a history experience at Evansville Museum. Tom Lomberg started this in 2017. He invites in all the cultural institutions. We all have a chance to go into the main gallery at Evansville Museum and take our slice of the history pie in the region, if you will. And it's also a great time. A lot of us don't get together that much. Maybe it's this event, it's Sigma things, and other things like that. So it's a good time for show and tell among all of us. Night at the Old Courthouse. The Old Courthouse Foundation gives Amber Goen at Vanderbilt County Archive. They gave her an area, is up on the 3rd floor. She gave us a table, and we took some of our World War I story and displayed it up there. There was great traffic. That was a great evening. And now Amber's not here this evening, but I wanted to embarrass her like I embarrassed Merrill. Amber, who, if you've met her, you know, she is very energetic. There's hardly anybody in the history community in our area that doesn't know Amber. She's the 2018 recipient of the Stan Harris Citizens Award for promoting social studies principles. You'll see that on the video. So we had a great event that evening. USI History Harvest. I know that Stella and Jennifer are here this evening. This was their first History Harvest. It's a great program. It's an opportunity for members of the community to bring artifacts or to bring their oral history and have it recorded as part of the documentation of their wartime experience. Jack Buttram, who I see standing back there behind Marco, he came down and talked about, and tell me if I've got this wrong, you played in the band that played at the opening of the Red Cross Canteen? Nowhere close.
My mother was a friend of the lady that formed it, and she knew that I played the cornet in the Knight Township band, and I got invited to play taps at the opening of the canteen.
That was close. I was close.
I'm pretty proud of that.
Beatty Road Baptist Church, for Veterans Day weekend when it's observed in November, invited us to create a tabletop display on a Sunday where they're having a special veteran service. So it was a very moving service. They had about 30 veterans come down in front of the altar. They recognized each of them, made a presentation for them, and then we had this display out in the lobby. So we went from Beatty Road Baptist in November to St. Mary at the beginning of December. And what we did at St. Mary, we recognized that, you know, we're sitting on top of the World War I centennial. And I think it started in a quiet conversation that Jan Howell and I had in her office at MD Dell. Before that, I believe I was at a talk at U of E and mentioned something to Amber about what do you think of? What do you think is? And she gave it a positive review. Then I said to Jan, what do you think if we were to find the names from our area that I showed you up there before, of all of the soldiers who were killed in action in World War I. And we had some kind of a recognition ceremony. I had been inspired by some of the things I saw done for 9/11, where the life safety fire departments had a bell service. They announced the name and a single toll of the bell, and that's been performed in the military as well. So what we decided to do December 1st, we recognized 400 of the World War I soldiers who were killed in action. We had this event down at St. Mary's. Jan helped us there because it was standing during World War I. And you can't see him very well, but the man in uniform standing behind the lectern is the chaplain at Fort Campbell. That's Major Tim Crowley. He was one of the officiants along with Father Steve Lynchnick. I got to tell you, this is one of the things that's close to my heart. Like I said, we looked at the deceased from the 17-county area. We worked with the Indiana Department of the Gold Star Mothers, the Kentucky Department of the Gold Star Mothers, and the Tri-State Genealogical Society to find readers from all of these counties to announce these 400 names. And they were great partners in this project. We had sponsors that helped defray the expenses, BrowningGenealogy.com and Gilhousen Floral. We, through some connections on the planning committee, we were able to perform the Table of the Fallen. It was a very meaningful ceremony. If you've ever had a chance, that's as close as I've ever been to one actually happening. We had a wreath laying, and I think that I haven't had a chance to really publicly thank a lot of people who made that hour very special. So I want to take just a moment of personal privilege. We had to find all these names, and then we had to find the readers. Donna Weaver was our indefatigable researcher, did a wonderful job. Robin Roth, I don't know if Robin's here this evening. She, by virtue of having a husband who served in the Army, knew a lot about military protocol.
That's her husband in that picture.
Yeah. Retired Master Sergeant James Roth. Jan Howell helped us with a lot of things over at St. Mary's, had a lot of good input on the program itself. Our film crew, who's also filming tonight, by the way, Mark Browning and Noah Wright. Mike and Linda Tiemann were helped with ushering that night. And actually, we had a brilliant soloist, Dr. Elena Keenan from the University of Evansville. I'll make this as brief as I can because I could talk about finding her for quite a while. But I put out to my network of friends, I'm looking for a female soloist, soprano, who can speak French. And you know, they're writing back to me saying, well, how many do you need? And by one way or another, we got to Dr. Keenan and found out that not only could she fulfill our requirements, but she had sung this obscure WC song before. It was a song about the children of France. He was very, WC was torn at how the war was destroying the country of his birth. And he wrote this song, and that morning she sang it beautifully, accompanied by Tina Schutte. So anyway, I've maybe gone on a little bit too long about that, but I wanted to thank Donna and Robin and Jan, Mark and Noah, and probably Jeff did a great introduction for us there. There were a lot of others. So, The lieutenant governor, she showed up. I forgot to mention that. We had special honors for James Bethel Gresham. We asked the lieutenant governor if she would come down and recite the story of James Bethel Gresham. He was one of the first 3 Americans killed. He was killed on the first night of his first day in France. It was a raid from a German trench a few hundred yards away. So we're very glad to have her there. Now we're going to talk about 2019 a little bit. And as Jeff said, we're looking at how we're communicating with the community. We're looking at how we are kind of putting a stake in the sand with the community as far as where we are and what we're doing. And you might wonder, what does this, is time up? That 2 hours went fast. This is Austin Gospel. And he is a history major at USI. He's also a baseball player there. And Austin and I were teamed up with 2 students of Merrill's over at Ivy Tech who are working on a project on the Iranian hostage crisis. So we sat down and got to talking with the students. And Austin's kind of giving me that look like, well, you were alive then. What can you say about what it was like? I let that pass. At any rate, he was talking about different perspectives on interpreting history. And these 2 high school students were really riveted. They were soaking it all up. When he was finished, they were talking about some changes they were going to make in the project and how they were going to pursue their goals. But he said something to them that I wrote it down then, and I wrote it here. History is full of what is. And a lot of you history majors and history teachers and archivists, you know this already. I'm coming to history more from the design and communications side. And this resonated with me because of some of the through line when we begin to talk about the 3 big groups of traffic that we see coming through the museum. We have our veterans, of course, and through working with Amber and Dave Noble and some of the others that are here this evening, Barb Courts, we've come to realize veterans divide up into lots of names, and that's something we're going to be working on this year. We have World War II, I almost said World War I. I don't know if we have any World War I veterans here this evening. World War II, Korea, Cold War, and Vietnam. And I'll tell you real quickly, these guys were at Shriners Fest 2017. Harold Morgan was there, and a lot of you in the history community know Harold. He's been very, very good to us. And Harold said to somebody, maybe it was Jack, these guys would like a tour of the museum. Can somebody go out there and open up? So me being new and the low man on the totem pole, I came out to the museum. I've never been to a complete Shriners Fest. I missed most of 2017 and I was sick last year, so maybe 2019 will be the charm. I'll have a chance to see the whole thing. Gulf War veterans, veterans of the War on Terror, and then this is a photograph of the women veterans who span all these same categories. This is a photograph from the Tri-State Women Veterans Conference that was at U of E last June. Barb's organization puts that together. I was lucky enough to be there, and it was eye-opening to hear so many of the stories from these women about their service time. Now this, of the veterans that we see here at the museum, and across the country, really. We know that they've had experiences that only other veterans really understand. We may understand a story at some level, but it's when they communicate with each other. Now, there are a couple of things happening here. We have seen Gulf War veterans and veterans of the War on Terror come here, see some of that equipment over there, and begin to talk to their families about things these families had never been exposed to before. You know, we believe that's one of the services indirectly that we can be a place of comfort, safe place where some of these memories can start coming out. That's why I chose this image. This is a battlefield image. This is a British soldier from the 1st Riflery Corps. And the photographer was part of that group. They had just been engaged with the enemy during a joint helicopter assault with the Afghan uniformed police in Helmand, Afghanistan. So this soldier had just jumped into this trench, and the photographer is right there and gets his face right out of the battle. And it helps people like me to see, I shouldn't say helps, but I get a greater understanding. It's something that happened to him, and it's on his face. Helping us learn about that, helping learners of all ages, because we talk about veterans, learners, and viewers. This group is about the learners. This was a U of E history field trip. USI History, I mentioned the History Harvest before. One of the other great things that was going on there, these teams, these history students at USI, were all there working on their World War II history projects. I had a chance to talk with each of them, and then come December, their projects were finished and they had been installed in display cases out on USI campus. So that was kind of, USI Archives, Jennifer's group working with these students, a lot of the other resources that they pulled in, and it's kind of another example of the museum going into the community. As far as learning about history, the retirees groups that come here. I mentioned Bucyrus Erie before. There's our Mark Browning. Just about everybody that comes here for a dinner or a luncheon or a meeting wants some kind of a history talk. Dr. McLeod at the ROA group. And we look at ourselves trying to spark curiosity in all ages. These guys were at our grand opening in 2017. And viewers, the curious, they may not be pursuing a path of study of history. They may be here on vacation, they may be here on a convention. Grandma and Grandpa might have brought them out here, but I think the look on this little guy's face captures what we hope to achieve. And the look on her face. This is Rich Gustafson and his wife Heidi. They're both involved here. This is Heidi's mom mounting up on the 50 cal over there on the weapons carrier. These are some reenactors that were at our hangar bash. So in this way, we're perfectly willing to look back in time and see what we can learn from each other. And we don't believe that history knows any time. We believe the galaxy is far, far away. This was, we did an event at the arena. The Thunderbolts were playing that night, and we had a table. This was before we opened, so we took a tabletop down there, and it also turned out to be Star Wars night, and so this was too good to pass up. So what we're trying to create is an experience that moves these veterans, learners, and viewers to different places from where they began, not so much physically, but mentally. One of the new ways we're going to do that during 2019, we're calling them Saturday sessions. This is Amber Actually, this is a program she did in 2018. But our Saturday sessions, we start one at the end of this month, 10:30 on Saturday mornings. It's included with her general admission. Here's what we have planned so far. Our own Richard Kuhn, who did this display, Flags of the Allies. He's going to be talking on the 23rd. Jennifer Green, seated right there, is going to be here on April 27th. These are company badges, designs and meanings. I'm looking forward to that. Rose McReynolds is one of Merrill Punky's students over at Early College High School, doing her project on Altus McReynolds, whose collection we have a couple of doors down over there. And then Cannon Bender, who I see right over there, is doing, I got to preview his website, an excellent project, Marine Reserve at Chosin Reservoir. That is going to be on July 27th. That's the day of the Korean armistice. So we're going to mark that occasion that way. Our one-on-ones, this is a program we're going to have a guest author. We're focusing on authors and stories this year. We'll have a guest author and a guest host. We don't expect Dick Cavett and Kate Hepburn to show up. But this is a metaphor. This is what we're trying to create. A little bit of history and a little bit of showbiz. We're trying to pair up hosts and authors, and hopefully it's going to be a great experience for the audiences. Nancy Hastings and Steve Berger will be first up on March 10th, talking about her book, The Chester Schultz Story. He's a World War I veteran. Amazing story. They took a trip to France. We've got a part of the documentary that we're going to show. Our own Donna Bone, there's Donna, and her book will be out by then, Homefront Heroes, How Women and Children Helped Win World War II. And her host will be Dr. Stella Ress, who's with us this evening. We're looking forward to that. And we've got a couple of others that we're going to do later in the year. Exhibits, near and dear to my heart. If this was a World War II computer, I wouldn't have any trouble with it. So what the metaphor, what we're trying to say for our exhibits this year is that we are chasing history. We don't believe, and I think everybody would agree, history is unending as long as we keep retelling the stories, and as long as we keep finding the history that's been lost. As I mentioned, Flags of the Allies is standing, and I've got to thank Larry Head. Larry's right over there, still recovering from his knee surgery, for this fantastic photograph shot through the wings of the Stearman back there. Thunder in the Sun, where's Jason? There he is. He's leading our research charge on that. What our thesis is that the P-47 is a lethal weapon in the right hands, in the hands of a trained pilot. Last summer we got a collection that is from World War II trainee. He was taken from not knowing the difference between a stick and a rudder to being qualified to fly P-47. We have all of his training materials. We have gun camera footage, air-to-air and air-to-ground. So we're calling that exhibit Thunder in the Sun. That's coming up in March. The Tomb of the Unknown. Now, a lot of us have been to the Tomb of the Unknown in D.C. And the Tomb of the Unknown is in Arlington. Congress approved the burial of an unidentified American soldier from World War I on March 4th, 1921. And the inscription on that is, "Here rests in honor, glory, an American soldier known but to God." A year before that, 1920, this organization was formed. It goes colloquially by the 40 and 8. It's an association that grew out of World War I veterans. And I'll tell you what 40 and 8 means, because I wrote this down. The title 40 and 8 comes from the boxcars that were used to transport troops to the front in France. Each car had the emblem 40 and 8 stenciled on the sides, like this, which meant it could carry 40 men or 8 horses. These were known as 40 and 8s. And when this organization was created after the war. They thought 40 and 8 was kind of a tongue-in-cheek way to reference a shared experience that they had all had. Now, Evansville has a 40 and 8 chapter. Dave Noble, there he is. He leads that organization, and what they did some years back is they looked at the meaning of the Tomb of the Unknown, and they looked at the roots of their organization, and they decided to create this replica of the Tomb of the Unknown. And this is a traveling exhibit. This breaks down, there's 4x8 panels. All of this breaks down, and for years, the 40 and 8 chapter here traveled wherever they were wanted with this exhibit. Well, that exhibit's going to make one more trip. It's going to come here. It's going to be a long-term loan here at the museum. We are very excited to have that here for our learners and our viewers and veterans. That's going to have a lot of meaning. 75 on 75th. This is going to be exciting because it's one of those things as a designer, as a curator, you head into, and there are some unknowns around it, but that makes it all the more exciting. The idea, this is 75th anniversary of D-Day, June 6th this year. What we are going to do is put together 75 objects, a display of 75 objects that talk about D-Day and connections to Evansville. We're going to reach out to the community. We're going to go through our collection. I think this is going to be a very interesting display. Also, Indiana's chapter in the history of the Tuskegee Airmen. We generally associate the Tuskegee Airmen with single-seat, single-engine aircraft, but there was also a bombardment group, and they were stationed in Columbus, Indiana, at Atterbury during World War II. And there's a museum there. We've been in communication with them. We're going to have some of their things here, and we're going to mount this exhibit later on. Now, don't forget the B-25 that you saw right there. How many of you, now Nate, this is a good question for you. The Army's Aircraft Modification Center, it was located where the airport terminal is today, just in that general area. And it was built not to build aircraft, but to make aircraft that had already been built better. 1,100 aircraft went through there, and a number of them, we don't know exactly what they did to them. It's a little bit secret. One of the things we know they did is they changed out the nose arrangement of these B-25s, and they put a lot more armament. They found out the B-25 was a medium bomber, Jimmy Doolittle's raid. It was well loved by its crew, but apparently it was so noisy, a lot of them had hearing problems later on. But it was a tough bird. It could take a lot of damage and come home. So kind of like the Thunderbolt, they started using it more and more for low-level missions. And they loaded them up with cannons and more machine guns, and a lot of that work was done right over at the Modification Center, and we're going to get into all that. This is another huge project for the museum. Amber found a registry in the archive that listed all of the names of these nurses from Evansville who went through the Red Cross and who were pulled directly into the Army and served, all of from Baltimore to Siberia during World War I. Last count, I believe there were 140 of these nurses. We're calling it In Service of Mercy. And from an exhibit point of view, we're going to focus on 3 areas. It will be how their training prepared them for what they would actually experience in wartime OR, wartime patient care, how their Army life was so very different from their civilian life, and then finally, what happened after the war. Some of these nurses came back and did a good deal of great things here in Evansville, but some of them, their lives took other courses, so we're going to examine all of that. I mentioned our 2nd anniversary is coming up. We'll have 5 days of events. I mentioned the reception earlier Thursday night, Kyler is going to be talking about United Colors of Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt was flown during the war and right after the war by Air Forces all over the world. We're going to talk about that. Mark Browning is going to do a lunch and learn this year, 11:30 D-Day in Evansville. I mentioned Rose McReynolds, and then the Sunday one-on-one that I mentioned with Donna's book, that all takes place during anniversary week. And if you have a yearn, if your appetite for travel has been triggered, the museum is a host for memorials of World War II. This is a trip to London, Paris, and the Normandy region. It's still open. I believe they're still taking reservations for that. 11 seats left. And that plane will leave from Evansville. You don't have to drive to Indianapolis, Louisville. It's a World War II plane, but it'll leave. It'll leave. Good, I'm glad I still got you. And also, I'll throw in one more thing. We're working with Nate he runs the airport over there to get you all free parking while you're there. It has been my great pleasure to spend this time with you. I'll be around if you have any other questions. Thank you very, very much for being here this evening.
Well, if he can do it, I can do it, okay? So I don't need a microphone either, I guess. But anyway, let's talk about the facility just for a minute. Maybe a little sprucing up on the outside to let you know that you're actually coming here. So these are just some ideas of things that we're going to do for the future to tell you that you're where you thought you were when you drove down the road. And you know, we've got a gracious landlord that's going to allow us to do some decorative things. We talked about visibility earlier. We think that is really important. We're tired of hearing that we're the best kept secret. You know, well, let's be a little bit more noisy. So, you know, with looking down the road, long-range plan. We've really been digging into this hard for a year now, asking ourselves various questions. We started out by asking, who are we? Well, we gave you a great idea of what happened in 2018. All the things that we've been involved in, which I still can't believe we pulled some of them off, but I'm so proud that we did. So then we proceeded to the next question. To continue as that, what must we continue to do? Well, that to us then meant let's give them a look at what we've got planned for 2019 and continue to do that. And then we ask ourselves, who do we want to continue to be? And this deals with we want to be the regional steward of artifacts and historic stories in this area. We want to be an educator. We want to be a tourism destination through the help of CBB. Right, Joe? Okay. We want to be a meeting place. You've seen all these things that happen out here. But, you know, people want to use us as a venue. We want to be sustainable. We've got to be sustainable, or else we're not going to leave it to anybody. We want to grow, and we want to be an organization that has community pride and passion, not just board members, but we want the community to be proud we're here. So, who do we want to become? We want to be a bigger destination. Don't you love that sound? Okay, that's sort of cool. Okay, I paid them to fly over exactly that. Okay. We want to be very visible. Okay, we're changing our vision from at least 41, you know, by making changes to the outside of the building. We want to be an organization to where it's not just the ones in this room, the board members that are proud of. We want to be proud of our community. We want our community to be proud we're here. We want to have recognizable board members and advisory council members. We want to have an active group of board members. We want a paid staff. Okay, that's a conversion from being 100% volunteer. We want a paid staff. We want to attract participants, people that want to become involved. And we want to qualify for loan exhibits. If somebody has something they're proud of, just like when we take our exhibits and show them off, we want to be a place that we qualify for somebody wanting to bring one of their pieces to be a part of what we're offering. So in order to do that, the Evansville Wartime Museum must be known for excellence among scholars and researchers and historians. We want those groups of people to respect the story that we've got to tell. We want to explore, this is something we really enjoy, explore the regions of untold stories. You know, Steve was talking about this modification center. I'll bet there's not, but other than some of the board members, there's not anybody even knew that happened here. We sent planes out here with Russian instructions on the dashboard, modified from English, obviously. We want to strengthen the board of directors and advisors, not with respect to just adding numbers of people to the board, but with respect to expertise and engagement. We want them to be connected. We want to be a destination. We want to continue to be a destination. We want to be added to the destination why people already come here. We want to add to that and have people locally feel that we add to their story. We want a commitment to change, but in the same tone, patience for that change. We want to initiate expansion, staff expansion, you know, an executive director, adding to the staff that we already have of 8 hours a week. So, we want ongoing facilities review. We want to continue to look at our facility and say, what is that definition of space need to be? What is the growth potential for our facility? What is the visibility of our facility? We want to identify and evaluate various funders, businesses, organizations, individuals. In order to do this, we have to also think like, not like artistically like Steve, but some of our goofy heads still have to focus on the business. We have to figure, okay, what are our revenue streams? How are we bringing in money? How are we being able to afford what we do tonight? You know, we've got earned income. These are things that we pay for, but they got to make money. We've got admissions. How many people come through the gate? You know, we got retail sales. When we sell a book, when we sell anything that would be offered in a bookstore or a gift shop, fundraising events, exhibit sponsorships. In other words, if we've got a great idea, we're going to have somebody to support it financially. Well, memberships, government funding, such as grants, federal, state, and local level, private section funding, donations, memorials, things like that. We also have to still keep a real focus on operating costs and project tracking. Okay, we're going to spend this much money on this project. We at least need to bring this much revenue in. We need to track that project specifically and as an entity. And, you know, when we look at displays, we want a centerpiece. We want somebody to go home and say, have you seen Well, today they might say, have you seen the steerman that's sitting on their main floor? Would it be nice someday if we could have you seen the P-47? We're going to have a hard time saying, have you seen the LST, because I don't think we've got quite enough in here for one of those. But you know, have you seen these other things? We're always focusing on, and we love the fact that we change what's on our floor. So that somebody didn't take out a membership, or before they take out a membership, I don't need to go back there. I was there 3 years ago. I've already seen that. We don't want that. We want people to come out here at least quarterly. You know, a membership costs $25. You can come out here as many times a year as you want to. A family membership costs $50. You can bring yourself and 4 people. Come out here as many times as you want to. And come out here enough, I guarantee you you're hooked. You're going to want to be leading one of these tours. So it's just so fun. We want a continuous tracking of where we are on our timeline. These are the things that we've got planned over 2 years. Where do we want to be on that, and where are we? You know, what's it take to get there? You know, we're proud, we, meaning the museum, and the people that are trying to run it. We're proud of our community, and we feel like that we're blessed to live and work where we do. We think our community deserves this museum. We feel like it's just reached the tip of the iceberg as far as work goes. We honestly are proud, even though Steve didn't say we were. We're proud of what we accomplished in a short term, in a short time frame. But we didn't accomplish it without folks that are like you. What's so cool is you guys, whether you realize it or not, you got special invitations to be here tonight. We could have sent this out on an email blast and it would have gone to 500 people. That's not who's here tonight. You guys, we feel, believe in what we're doing. All aspects of what we're doing. And we selected who got an invitation to come tonight. Some of you might be new to it, but we saw this little, he's got a bullseye on his forehead, you just don't know it. You know, we see people that we think believe in our mission, believe in our vision. You know, you're a special group to us. Now, don't just watch us grow, but be a part of it. Help us continue it. We truly believe that. We said going in that this was not a fundraiser tonight. This is a sincere voice of appreciation and ask for help us to make this be more than it is tonight. I am so blessed to be here talking to you guys tonight about I wish my parents had lived to see this. You know, we talk a lot about veterans and stuff like that. There's as many people that come through the door because my grandmother used to work making 45 caliber bullets. And they want to know more about what she did. You know, it's just, we're blessed to have you here tonight. And we want to thank you for listening, and we would entertain any kind of thoughts and questions that you have about this mad journey we're going on. So, thank you so much for coming, but don't stop there. You know, don't hold back. You know, critique us, you know. If you don't want to do it in public, send an anonymous email. I don't care. You know, the reason that we got to where we are is because of you guys. Whether it's David James talking to us on the radio, or Joe touting us down at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, or Tara Barney at the Chamber, or Mike talking to us, to the first responders, you know, are the universities counting us for David Smith under his wife's leadership, of course, you know, believing in what we're doing. We would love to form and this is nothing, this will be new to the board, I think we haven't talked about it in detail, but we would love to form a history. You know, there's so many schools that they got a chess club, they got an art club that meets once a month for the kids and stuff like that. We would love for the teachers of history and social studies in the schools at all levels, elementary, you know, primary, post education, to get engaged. We first get engaged with the educators, and then we would love to be sitting there talking to them about, don't you like it when you see this little kid sitting in your classroom and he gets that, oh, I got it. You know, it's like a what if moment. Wouldn't it be cool if they could spot these kids that have this interest in history? Maybe it's in the state of Indiana. Maybe it's in the Northwest Territory. Maybe it's in the Civil War. Whatever it is, find something that we can do to help that grow so that the kid can really pursue through the teacher, and the teacher can continue to expand on their interest, where their passion is. That would be so fun to be able to do that. It was like being a spin-off of their job, focusing on their main interest. We would love to do something like that. We would love to be the venue for that to happen. But anyway, you got me on my Southern Baptist, you know, not soapbox, but you guys receive special invitations for a special reason. And we are tickled to death to have more of you come than expected. So, you know, I said we were going to open to questions. I keep on talking. But, you know, any questions or comments or anything like that, chances are if they're technical, Steve will have to answer them. But I'm so excited about what I saw him talking about we've done and what's on the horizon. That's the immediate horizon. That's just this year, this coming year. And I guarantee you hadn't filled it up yet. But anyway, we've gone past what we told you we were going to. We really would like any kind of comments or questions, or what we're doing wrong. We take that on the chin too. You know, how can we be better? Yes, sir.
I would like, my name is Jim English, and I live in Southern Indiana. And I'm actually from Northern Ohio, so I don't have a lot of knowledge of necessarily of building. And Jerry was on honor fight in this past year, and he invited me to get involved. And I mean, my first tour here, Larry took me through and was showing me all the different exhibits. You all have got just a wealth of history here. Just this Tri-State area is just steep. And I feel very fortunate about being able to be a part of it, and I look forward to partnering with all of you to be involved with it. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep.
I'm Barb Court, I'm the commander of Tri-State Veterans. We have a lot of history here, but it's all about guns. What you need is, in World War I, our job was free amendment fight. We need to get the history of like from then, free amendment fight. The fact that there's a woman in the ring in World War I from America. And we need to get it now. Our job no more. We were fighting beside our brother veterans. So maybe we have programs on women veterans from free amendment fight, fighting beside the veterans.
Great idea. Great idea. Any other comments? We did something on nursing, but we didn't really focus on what you're talking about. So that's only our book of two dudes. And when I look at the diversity through the crowd, I'm just blown away about who's here. all of it, but that was the intention. We wanted to bring new folks together. A lot of people don't, they know little bits and pieces of what we've done, but they don't know